For centuries, we have viewed enlightenment as a mystical state, a spiritual elevation beyond the physical world. But the brain is a machine of flesh, firing neurons and electricity, and it operates according to specific biological rules. Because the brain is a physical system, it follows the same laws that govern stars and engines. We can model human consciousness using the principles of general relativity, Einstein's framework showing how mass and energy curve the fabric of the universe. Within this model, we define cognitive spacetime as the geometric structure of your subjective experience and beliefs. In a healthy mind, this grid is flat and elastic, allowing you to move flexibly between different memories and perspectives. Achieving a higher state of awareness is a process of physically optimizing the actual geometry of your nervous system. The structure of this geometry is determined by mental mass. This mass consists of unresolved trauma, chronic anxiety, and rigid identity structures that weigh on the psyche. Just as a star curves space, mental mass warps your internal grid, forcing thoughts into inescapable orbits. In extreme cases, the curvature collapses into a singularity, a state where multiple viewpoints disappear entirely. This structural collapse manifests as absolute fusion or psychosis. The brain loses its ability to distinguish internal metaphors from external reality, turning a single, fearful perspective into a literal prison. Chronic anxiety represents a structural collapse of your mind's geometry. The warped paths created by trauma become the only destinations the brain is physically capable of reaching. This geometric warping dictates the brain's physical energy economy. In the field of emotional thermodynamics, we analyze how the mind manages its finite fuel under the pressure of chronic stress. A mind trapped in these steep gravity wells functions as an exothermic brain. It acts like a Carnot engine, a theoretical model used to measure how heat converts to work. But in this state, it is highly inefficient, violently venting energy outward into the environment. When you bleed this mental energy through hypervigilance or constant anger, you leave the brain depleted. To survive on what's left, the nervous system locks into rigid, low-entropy neural structures. This chart shows how a depleted system operates. In information theory, entropy measures the variety of outcomes. As seen in panel B, low entropy causes the probability distribution to spike at a single point, restricting the brain to one habitual reaction. Chronic anxiety drains the brain's thermodynamic work capacity, locking the individual into a rigid survival mode where growth is physically impossible. The alternative is the endothermic brain, a state where the nervous system operates in a secure growth mode. Rather than fighting its surroundings, a grounded nervous system safely absorbs information and energy from the environment. This inward flow fuels neurogenesis, the physical creation of new neurons in the brain's memory centers. This absorption increases the brain's resting entropy. In a biological context, this translates to higher degrees of freedom, granting more creativity and a wider range of possible actions. Cognitive resilience requires maintaining this endothermic state to utilize the stress of the outside world as fuel for internal complexity. To reach this state, we use differentiation of self. This is the capacity to maintain your own autonomous thinking and self-defined principles, while staying emotionally connected to an anxious system. The deliberate act of processing trauma and managing reactivity acts as a cleaning process, stripping away accumulated mental mass from the psyche. As mass is removed, the mind's warped geometry flattens, releasing trapped cognitive energy. Thoughts now move in straight, unhindered paths. This flat geometry lets the brain operate at peak efficiency, minimizing free energy, the prediction error it must resolve to maintain its model. This shift in cognitive geometry allows a person to stand calmly in the center of a chaotic crowd. By flattening your internal wells, you become capable of holding your own structure regardless of the stress surrounding you. Biological enlightenment is the deliberate flattening of the mind's geometry to restore neurobiological health.